Everybody, welcome. The guitar Q&A live stream from SongBike, the SongBike guitar Q&A live stream, number 62. Number 61 went pretty well, so I thought I'd do another one. Hope you guys had a great week. I had a great week. And I have a great show for you, but you guys know I'm here for your questions. You are the Q of the Q&A. So if and when you have a question, ask it. Don't be shy. Put it in the chat with a bunch of question marks in advance. And that's how I know you're aiming a question at me. In between your questions, we got a lot going on today. So stick around. Among other things, we have a poll, and some of you guys have voted already. The poll is a simple question. Is your goal to perform on the guitar, to perform, to be out there doing it in front of people? And I can see we got some votes already. Your options include, yes, I do want to perform in front of friends and family. It's a great goal. Number 2 option, yeah, I want to perform in the sense that I want to record myself. Maybe you got a home recording setup. So in that sense, you're performing, you're preparing, but it's really just to record yourself. But that's a very cool goal. Number 3, you want to perform in public on a big stage. And number 4, no, your goal is not to perform. You're doing this for you. Also a great answer. So we got 27 of you watching already, so feel free to jump in and vote. We got 14 votes already. So I'm curious where you guys are at in terms of the poll question. In between your questions, here are some of the things I would love to cover in the next 2 hours or so. Chord royalty, this time the minor chords. We did chord royalty last week. The major chords that I would consider to be chord royalty, F, D, and A major. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, just watch last week's live stream. Minor chords this week. So we're going to talk about chord royalty, the minors that you just can't live without. I have a guitar lesson based on Layla. And it ties in with a cool thing that I watched, and I talked about it a little bit last week. Paul Gilbert, great guitar player, Paul Gilbert. He did a cool video that I picked up on right away, and I thought, ooh, I like how he presented that, and I turned it into a lesson. So stick around for that, but it's based on Layla, good old Eric Clapton, Layla. We are going to learn part 3 of Stairway to Heaven. Remember, we've been learning Stairway to Heaven backwards. This week is part 3, all right? Hopefully you caught the last 2. And the reason why we're learning Stairway to Heaven from back to front, so to speak, is the song actually gets a little bit easier the deeper into the song you go. And the easiest part is the end of the song. So we're actually working our way back to the beginning of Stairway to Heaven, and we're going to get there soon. Other things that I want to talk about this week, give you a little update on how the Chord-Melody book is going. I started shooting videos. It's going great. Albert King, I have a great Albert King quote to share with you regarding soloing. And this is extremely important advice that you want to stick around for because it's going to change how a lot of you approach playing guitar solos. And none other than Gary Moore was the recipient of this advice, and he said it was really important advice for him. I want to show you some more of the books I got recently. A couple weeks ago was my birthday, and I bought a bunch of books from the used bookstore for my birthday. I showed you a couple of them. I never got around to showing you the other ones. Good old Johnny Bergen, my friend Johnny Bergen, playing blues guitar around the globe. He was in Denmark, and some of you know our friend Christian from Denmark, who you guys know from the live stream here. He went to see Johnny Bergen in Denmark and took some pictures, and very cool. So I want to tell you about that. The Smithsonian has a big Grateful Dead exhibit. That's right, the Smithsonian, they're in DC. And as part of the exhibit, there's a new interview with Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead that has never really been heard in its entirety. And it was an interview conducted by Smithsonian staff. A very cool interview because Jerry Garcia talks about his early days as a young as a kid, and then getting into music as a teenager and stuff. Very cool interview. I listened to the whole thing myself. I highly recommend it. Eventually, I'll put a link to that interview in the description of this video, but I want to tell you about that. Oh man, I have my own dumb question of the week. I have a student quote of the week. A couple emails from some of you all, and I'd love to get to those emails, some questions that were sent in email form. As usual, a segment I like to call some of the coolest guitar players on YouTube, and I have 3 really good ones to share with you this week. I can't wait. I got my Sweetwater t-shirt on. My wife got me a Sweetwater gift card for my birthday a couple weeks ago, and she was talking with a sales rep. He happens to be named Kevin, and she said, I want to get this for my husband for his birthday. And Kevin said, well, if it's his birthday, we got to send him a free t-shirt. So I got my Sweetwater t-shirt right there. Nice condenser microphone. Cool. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Sweetwater. Remember, you guys can support what we do right here in the live stream by making a purchase from Sweetwater, but do it by clicking on the affiliate link in the description of this and every live stream that I ever do. Click on that link. That'll get you to Sweetwater. Then they take a little of their profits and send it back to support this live stream. Okay, we have a very cool guitar play along coming up in about an hour, give or take, maybe a little bit less than an hour. For the guitar play along, you are going to need those chords. And I wanted to put this up on the screen right away because there may be a few of you who haven't played 1 or 2 of those chords before. You need all 6 of those chords for today's play along. And of course, you need to switch between those chords. Now, of all those chords, the one I'm going to make the biggest deal about is the one with the big arrows, C7. Oh, hold on. It's going to be a C7 in a second. Now it's a C7. Okay. So we're going to need that C7 because we're going to take that C7 and move the grip up the neck. Okay. So if any of you have any concerns about your ability to play a C7 chord, today is the day to make sure you can play a C7 chord. So while I'm answering your questions and talking, I highly recommend you guys start checking out those 6 chords: C, E7, A7, D7, F, G7, and C7. Okay. So you can multitask. You can listen, ask questions, and review those chords right there. Hope you can see those. Okay. I got the brilliant idea to move the music stand to my right instead of to my left, and it just might solve some of the issues I was having. So A to Z Me says C7 is one of the toughest chords to master. In my opinion, the pinky is stubborn. Yeah. Your fretting hand pinky is the key to everything. In a way, you can mark your progress by how confident your fretting hand pinky is. Such a game changer. As your left hand pinky, your fretting hand pinky gets more confident, more capable, a whole bunch of new options arise, and you'll be grateful. So whatever you do to work on your fretting fingers, but especially your ring and pinky, you won't regret it. Okay, so those are the topics that I sure hope to cover today. I hope if I can't cover all those topics, it's because you are asking great questions. I want to say a couple hellos. Hello, Deborah. Hello, Joseph. Hello, Randy. Booba John. Scott has his Takamine 12-string ready to rock and roll. Excellent. Chaz, hello. Zulozia Zombie from Poland. Hello. Charlie Beagle. Hello. That's who I see in the chat at the moment. Joseph, yes. Hey, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Why? I have no idea. It just makes me happy. So 31 people watching, 9 thumbs up. Go for it. Give me a thumb. I believe you guys heard me mention last week that there was a big fire truck parade right outside my door on Main Street here. And I believe it's wrapped up. There was a little bit of sirens and honking and stuff. The local volunteer fire department is celebrating their 100th anniversary, and they invited a whole bunch of towns to come to a fire truck parade on Main Street. And there was a contest with different criteria about the best fire truck. And I kind of had a feeling it would be over by the time we started. So I kind of wanted to hear, I wanted to give you guys a little color, a little small town color. Oh, well, anyways, that's what's going on. Okay, Zoologia has a great question. Okay. Oh, what a great question. Zoologia Zombie asks, recently, I had to find a new guitar teacher as I moved to another part of town. New teacher is more into playing slow and accurate rather than getting the rhythms right. What's the best approach? Yeah, I think what you're talking about is when you say getting the rhythms right, you probably mean the feel of the song, right? The feel of it. Yeah. Well, I agree with the new teacher in principle without knowing all the details. Yeah, I mean, every song is different. Every student is different. But with that in mind, responding to what you exactly said, yeah, I'm a fan of slow and accurate. I can't always get my students to do it. So at a certain point, on any given song, the feel might be so good and the flow is happening that I say, okay, you've got that going on. You're going to have to polish it to make sure, say, when you land on that chord, the chord sounds great or whatever the case might be. So as a teacher, sometimes I make an executive decision like, okay, we've maybe been playing a song for 6 weeks and the student knows, where I'm coming from, saying, okay, well, you still have to polish these things and get more accurate, but I give them a big thumbs up if the feel and the rhythms are right. Yeah. But my favorite thing, ideally with any song, is having the student play slowly, getting every note just right, to the best of their ability, and then gradually ramping up the speed. That's the ideal. But, in the fog of war, anything is possible, right? That's why I say on a song by song basis, my answer is going to vary, and on a student by student basis. I've had students who have a great sense of rhythm, and they pick up very quickly on what the feel of the song is. And so then what else can I do except working the accuracy? I have other students who are so focused on getting every note right, but the music doesn't have any flow yet. And I say, okay, now you're getting everything right. Now we gotta get in the groove. Every student is different, right? So Zoologia Zombie, that's in general, I'm a fan of slow and accurate first. So there you go. But listen, number one, can I just say that how cool is it that you moved, but you just found another guitar teacher? That's great. That's great. And you're in a unique position because you haven't changed. The guitar hasn't changed, but you're going to get a new perspective on the guitar. And that's a healthy thing. I mean, if I could wish that for all of you, to have a great teacher for a couple of years and then have another great teacher for a couple of years. I mean, I would wish that for anybody in a perfect fantasy world, get different perspectives, get different feedback on what you're doing. Yeah. So, but bottom line is you did the right thing. You continued your progress, found a new teacher, and I hope it turns out to be a great success. Interesting. Joseph says he's been learning to play "Give Me Love" by George Harrison, 20 different chords. Interesting. I didn't know that. 20 different chords. How many chords are there again? That's a lot of chords. But George Harrison did beautiful things with unusual groups of chords and unusual chord progressions in general. Unusual for pop music. Hey, Caddis Rufus is asking a great question. And Caddis put a DQ first, meaning this might be a dumb question, but I'm glad you asked it. Okay, the question from Caddis is, when you're playing without a reference, such as a metronome or another player, how do you know if you're playing in time? Great question. I can see why you said that's a quote dumb question, but it's not, though. It's a great question. So yeah, how do you know if you're playing in time or not? I mean, technically you don't, right? Because there's no frame of reference. If your goal is to make sure you're playing in time, playing along with the recording or slowed down version of the recording, like YouTube allows you to slow down, videos. So that's, playing with the recording is a way to check out if you're playing a good time. But I think what you're talking about is with no reference at all. Yeah, how do you know? Short answer is you don't know. How can you record yourself? The fact that most all of us have our little phone, and every phone has some sort of recording option, right? On mine, it's called voice memos or whatever it's called. Yeah, record yourself and listen back. It's a beautiful thing. What's it called on my phone? Voice recorder. I guess it's just called voice recorder on my Samsung. That's one way to do it. My first instrument was the drums. And you take enough drum lessons and pretty, sooner or later, you get that little voice in your head. So when I moved on to guitar, I still had that little voice in my head that is essentially counting, if not literally the numbers 1, 2, 3. In effect, it's having a little drummer in your head. So that's a big advantage. If you take enough drum lessons. I did drums for about 6 years before I ever picked up a guitar. But all of us can develop that little internal drummer, counting out loud. If you know what the counting is, if you know about quarter notes, eighth notes, and the conventional ways of, say, 1 and 2 and a 3 and a 4, and then of course counting like that would help. But if you don't have that official music training, tapping your foot. Let's talk about tapping your foot for 1 second. I've had students where tapping the foot almost immediately solves any timing issues, and I have had students where as soon as I tell them to not tap their foot, that solves their timing issues. So that's something else to think about. If you don't tap your foot, maybe give it a try. If you tap your foot when you play, that doesn't mean you are suddenly better than you were before you tapped your foot, and vice versa. If you don't tap your foot, if you do tap your foot and suddenly you refrain from tapping your foot, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. But like I said, I've noticed that every once in a while I have a student with the timing just weird, like the rhythm is so off, and I look down at their foot, and their foot is doing some weird tapping, and as soon as they stop that, it's like the clouds part and the sun appears. It's happened multiple times. So Caddis, I guess those are my answers. Number 1, record yourself. Number 2, if you have the counting in your head, do the counting. By the way, you know what else counts as counting? If there's a cute little saying, I need a long vacation. I need a long vacation. If I'm going to strum an E minor chord, I'm going to go, I need a long vacation. I need a long vacation. I've had a lot of success giving a student something to say to clarify what the rhythm is, and that's a great way if you have something to say, a cute little phrase. And then the third thing is, and this is a little more, this is not as immediately helpful, but to develop that little voice in your head to say 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't have a great piece of advice on how to develop that without working with someone one-on-one. That's the kind of thing I feel much more comfortable doing with a student one-on-one. So I could help them. Hey, maybe the song, the counting is not a 4-4 time. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4. So, you'd have to find what the counting is. Maybe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. And I saw another one. Keep those question marks coming, you guys. When you put a bunch of question marks in advance, it makes my life so much easier. Okay. Yeah, Scott is making a good point. Scott says, I try out little things on my phone's smart recorder app all the time before I move over to building a song on your computer with your digital audio workstation on your computer, the DAW. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Because you might get a great idea and you're just not near anything else. And so you have to record yourself on your phone. Great idea. I've had some success, some personal success, saving an idea for later and then coming back to it and realizing that was a great idea and I would have definitely forgotten it if I hadn't saved it. So yeah. Charlie Beagle says, I've got all these Apple devices, but GarageBand remains a mystery. Ooh, that's too bad, because GarageBand is you have it already and it is intended to be user-friendly. So Charlie, I definitely recommend doing whatever it takes. Do you have a neighbor, like a 9-year-old neighbor? A 13-year-old neighbor? That's the key to everything. Someone in your life that can just tap 7 buttons and fix everything. These things happen. It's real. It's real. Okay. AWash 2004. I'm looking at what you wrote. Okay, AWash says, all I know is chords, but I've yet to play any song. So the only thing I can understand is scales, mainly the major scales. Hey, listen, in terms of, when you say all I know is chords, that's great. That's great. That's what the world wants you to know chords. We play a chordal instrument, unlike a saxophone or trumpet where you cannot play chords, and every song needs chords. So people look to us like, hey man, you're holding the thing that plays chords, give us some chords. Essentially so people can sing along or another instrumentalist can play the melody while you provide the accompaniment. So hey, the more chords you know, the better, the more confident and comfortable you are with the chords, the more consistent the chords are in terms of the quality, the sound quality, the better you are at changing between chords. That's really what the world is hoping you know how to do. All this screaming, crazy lead guitar solos, people admire that for, until it's over. And then they want to sing, So give yourself some credit for every chord you've ever learned. But when you say, I've yet to play any song, well, you're in the right place, because we've done over 40 guitar play-alongs on the last 40 live streams, give or take. And every time I pick a song, almost every single one of them is based on typically just 3 or 4 pretty easy chords. So there's a whole lot of good stuff waiting for you. And you can just go to any of these live streams of the last, starting in the early 20s of the live stream 22, 23, 24, I don't know, somewhere in there. And about the halfway point is when we typically do a guitar play along. So, and you say the only thing I can't understand is scales. You say you can't understand scales. Well, that's the next step. I mean, if scales are the absolute best thing to practice to make your fingers fast. If you do scales with a down, up, down, up, down, up, picking with your picking hand, it makes your picking hand fast. And at a minimum, you get great exercise. Scales also lead to playing melodies, and they lead to improvising guitar solos. So you guys know I'm a big fan of scale books. That big Mel Bay book, which once again, I don't have it right in front of me. But anyways, any scale book is good. You guys know I like the book, the Mel Bay Complete Book of Scales, Chords, and Arpeggios. Scales, Arpeggios, and Chords. Chords, Arpeggios, and Scales, whatever. The big Mel Bay, the big thick thing, written by William Bay, B-A-Y, about $23 on Amazon. Yeah. Okay. Okay, okay, looks good, looks good. Uh-huh. Excellent. All right, you guys. So let's get into it. Let's get into chord royalty, the minor chord edition, right? And this is gonna be short, sweet, easy, which is how I like it. Here we go. Last week, we talked about the F shape, the F grip, the D grip, and the A grip, moving them up and down the neck to get you tons and tons of major chords all over the place. Let's do it with minor chords. Here's what's going on with the minor chords. E minor, E as in echo, D minor, D as in delta, A minor, A as in alpha. Come on, snack clip. Okay, we're actually going to start with a D minor. Okay, right there, D minor. Now, I'm hoping that a bunch of you know D minor right off the top of your head. I'll say this. D minor, somehow, even though it's in the top 16 classic chords you've got to learn how to play, D minor, somehow it doesn't show up quite as often as it should, considering it's people like me say it's a really important chord to learn. So I wouldn't be surprised. We got 38 of you watching right now. I wouldn't be surprised if easily 20% of you are kind of vague on D minor. You're great at the other ones, but not D minor. All right, give it some love, give it some respect. Okay, D minor. So why do I call it chord royalty? It's an easy 3-note chord. You don't even need the 4th open D string. That's a redundant note. It sounds great. But you already have a D, the 2nd skinny string, the B string, 3rd fret where your ring finger is. That's already a D note. D is in delta. And for that reason, the 4th string, the open D string, is not 100% necessary, right? It just adds a nice boomy low sound. And here's why it's relevant for today's lesson on chord royalty. You can take those 3 fingers in that same form and glide them up and down the neck. You got to maintain that same form. People who aren't experienced doing this, your fingers tend to fall apart. You lift one off, you put it back in the wrong place. I know. I see it. I've done it. You get minor chords all up and down the neck. Every minor chord anyone can ever ask you to play, you can play it with the D minor grip. You just need to know where to put it to get the right sound. Okay, so how do you know what the new name of the D minor grip is as you glide that form, or the grip as you glide up and down the neck? I'll give you 2 things to think about. Number 1, my ring finger, 2nd string, 3rd fret. That's the note D. That's the root note in this particular context. Whatever the name of the note is that the ring finger is touching, that's the name of the minor chord. Right now, I just glided up 2 frets. My ring finger is now on 5 on the 2nd string. If I strum only the 3 that I'm touching, that is an E minor chord. It's a D chord D minor up 2 frets. That E minor chord, if I go up 1 more fret, that's an F minor chord. And I can prove it because my ring finger is on the note F. So that's one method of identifying the name of that chord. Anywhere you go, it's always going to be minor. The flavor is always going to be minor, right? Doing this kind of implies or demands that you know the names of the notes on the 2nd string, the B string. Now, some of you might not be comfortable doing that. You might not be too familiar with the notes on the 2nd string. Okay, number 1, now is a chance to, teach yourself. Number 2, see what I wrote on the bottom there? The musical alphabet, right? There's 12 notes in music. By the time you finish the 12 notes, the 13th note has the same name as where you started. I chose to start on the note A because alphabetical. Okay, so if you know the musical alphabet and the quirkiness of the musical alphabet, then you don't need to necessarily know the names of every single note on the 2nd string. You just know that a D minor grip up 2 frets is just like being on the note D and moving up 1, 2 jumps. The proper term would be half steps. We think of them as frets, right? So what was a D minor chord, up 1, 2 frets is an E minor chord. Up 1 more is an F minor chord. Why? Because that's how the musical alphabet works. That's all. Okay, so anyone who knows the musical alphabet, then you're off the hook. You don't necessarily have to have the second string notes, have them all memorized, you know? In a perfect world, for me to consider this like a complete lesson, we'd come up with a song that's nothing but minor chords. And then, you know, they're out there, right? And then we'd play that whole song with nothing but that D minor grip, you know, gliding up and down. To me, that's like, that would complete the lesson right there. Okay, someday we'll figure that out. Okay, you ready to move on? The next one I'm going to do, let's do E minor. Okay, now I know E minor is a really easy chord. I want you to notice that when you strum the nice easy E minor, the 3 treble strings are all open strings, right? That's your open E, your open B, and your open G. Okay, well, so what? Well, here's why. The reason E minor is chord royalty is you can strum just those 3 open strings, and that's an E minor chord. That's all you need, E, G, B. E minor, any minor chord is known as a triad, meaning it's 3 notes and only 3 notes. And there's your 3 notes. It just so happens in this context, the root note is your skinny E string, right? That's the note E plus the B plus the G. I'm going to call that 0, 0, 0, because in effect, it's as if my pointer finger is pressing down at 0, right? In effect. You know where I'm going with this, right? That E minor up 1 fret. See how E and F are neighbors right there in the musical alphabet? That's an F minor chord. An F minor chord up 1 fret is an F sharp minor chord, also known as a G flat minor chord. In fact, every minor chord anyone could ever ask you to play, you can play with 1 finger. The root note is always the name of the note on the skinny string in this context, right? Okay, so there you go. Royalty, right? What's better than that? 1 finger, you're set for every possible minor chord, you know? Okay, and the last member of the minor chord royalty, A minor. Now check this out. Name that tune. What song is that? Oh, what a great song. I got that cassette tape used as a kid, and man, I wore that out. And I got this CD. If you could wear out CDs, I would have worn out the CD. I love that. What song is that? And the relevance is, check it out. Traditional A minor, regular classic A minor, up 2 frets higher. Randy Downing knows, yeah, good old moon dance. Now, I'm not saying that this is exactly how Van Morrison came up with the idea, sitting around and just taking A minor, but it's so hard to imagine he wrote it any other way. Because, I mean, you're strumming an A minor, and a little creative voice in your mind says, hey, let's take that grip and move it up and just see what happens. And if you're Van Morrison, you turn that into gold. By the way, quick aside, this is exactly how I would play Moon Dance. If I was going to get up and play it, or, you know, people wanted to sing around the campfire, in this particular context, I would still strum the 5 strings as opposed to just focusing on the ones I'm touching. I'd strum all 5 on the A minor and all 5 on this new chord. Oh, take a wild guess what the new chord name is. Did I say it? I don't think I said it. An A minor chord up 2 frets. 1, 2. It's a B minor chord, right? Easy peasy. But to sound like Moon Dance, you'd still strum all 5 strings that you had been strumming, because that creates a nice jazzy effect. You still have the open A string, the 5th string, and the open 1st E string, and that adds a nice ambiguity to that B minor chord, you know? Okay, so you get where we're going with this? A minor. You could take that chord, that grip, glide it up and down the neck at all sorts of minor chords. Going back to my original intent here, you'd play only the 3 that you're touching. Right? Again, every minor chord anyone could ever ask you to play. Look at that. It just feels like A minor, you know? Now there's a little twist. Oh, by the way, the root note, 3rd string, 2nd fret, the one my ring finger's touching, that's the root note. It's the reference point for this particular grip, right? Hey, not a total coincidence. The D minor had the root note on the 2nd string. The E minor had the root note on the 1st skinny string, the 1st E string. And here we are with A minor, the root note on the 3rd string. Not a coincidence. You know, that's the whole idea. You want to, the mouse with only one hole gets caught. Someone told me that many years ago. Was that my grandpa? I think my grandpa told me that. So you want to have options, right? Just because you could play every minor chord with one finger, it might not be convenient to. It might sound kind of awkward to jump from, you know, let's say a G minor at the 3rd fret to a C minor at the 8th fret. It might be exactly the sound you want, or it might be a little bit too much of a jump. So you have to come up with another way of playing C minor that doesn't require that kind of a jump. By the way, since I'm giving this example, G minor, 3-3-3, index finger barring the 3 treble strings at the 3rd fret. A C minor that's really, really close to that, it would be the A minor grip at the 4th and 5th strings. Okay, when I say A minor at the 4th and 5th strings, take your A minor, glide up until your pointer finger is on the 4th fret of the 2nd string. And of course, because you're maintaining that same shape of the A minor, your middle and ring are on the 5th frets of the 3rd and 4th strings. Okay, before we move on from this chord royalty business, one little twist with the A minor. You guys know that the B minor chord, and I'm doing I would call this the simplest version of B minor. 1st string, 2nd fret with my index, 2nd string, 3rd fret with my middle, pinky, 3rd string, 4th fret, ring, 4th string, 4th fret. Okay, in effect, it's the same as a B minor bar chord. We're just not doing the bar. Okay, you guys know how this is totally related to the A minor chord, right? Imagine doing A minor with your middle ring and pinky, and the index in effect is at 0. That's an A minor chord. Not the way we usually do A minor, but it's going to sound the same as, you know, any conventional A minor. And then my hand is just going to glide up 2 frets. So you're okay with that? The B minor is 100% related to that A minor? Okay. Remember how I said minor chords are triads? You only need 3 notes. So you could get rid of that ring finger altogether. You're not even going to squeeze the 4th string. Index, 1st string, 2nd fret, middle, 2nd string, 3rd fret. Now it's kind of dorky to have my pinky reaching over there. So I'm going to substitute my ring finger for my pinky. So there you go. There's a B minor chord. 3 fingers in a very natural kind of grip there. Index, 1st string, 2nd fret, middle, 2nd string, 3rd fret, ring finger, 3rd string, 4th fret. That's a B minor. That's all you need for B minor. Okay, so you can take that grip. We could call that a B minor shape up and down the neck, because I know for some of you it might be kind of weird to call that an A minor shape. I get that. So a little bonus royalty. We got, you know, some kings and queens and princes and princesses, and this is like someone help me out. Just a little, I don't know, a duke. Okay, root note, just like with the traditional A minor, root note is on the 3rd skinny string. Right now, Actually, either way, my ring finger is touching it either way, right? Whether I'm doing the A minor or this B minor. Bottom line is the B minor grip, up and down the neck, root note on the 3rd string. Okay, chord royalty, there you go. E minor, D minor, and A minor with a little bonus B minor thrown in. These are the minor chords you want to know and love and feel comfortable with. And like I said, I'd love to find a minor chord song, especially a song that has nothing but minor chords, and then use these to play that song. If anyone knows any, let me know. Again, we're going for something with nothing but minor chords, just in principle, just so we stick with this and not muddy the waters too much. Okay, something to think about. All right, bear with me, my friends. I'm going to check this off. Okay, did we do that? Yes, we have done this. We have done this. All right. Candy, you like that? Thank you, Candy. Candy says, very cool. Deborah says, Duke and Duchess. Yeah, yeah. Charlie has a question. Charlie says, when they refer to chord positions, such as 1st position, cowboy chords, where do 2nd and 3rd position chords start? What a great question. Love it. Love it. Cowboy chords and 1st position chords, in my mind, those mean the same thing. Anytime your index finger is fretting at the 1st fret, that's a 1st position chord, but it also is a cowboy chord like C, A minor. Just in general, those terms overlap. All the most common chords you ever learned, E minor, G, D7, in general, those all are called cowboy chords. To get to your question, as soon as you start doing things that move up the neck, and I'm going to use that B minor as an example, that would be called a 2nd position chord. It's wherever your index finger is. That B minor, my index is on the 1st string, 2nd fret, and so technically that would be a chord in the 2nd position. And as soon as I move up, that would be called the 3rd position. I would still think of it as a B minor grip, but I would call that a B minor grip in the 3rd position. Oh, if I wanted to say, hey, you guys, let's take that B minor grip, but turn it into an E minor chord. I'd say take your E minor grip, move it up to 7th position. So move it up until your index finger. The index finger is always the reference. There we go, the index finger. That's always the reference. Index finger 7, middle finger on the next string 8, ring finger on the next string 9. That is an E minor chord. So that's one way I would describe that. The B minor grip, but up in 7th position. And I know some of you are thinking, geez, I like my E minor down there. Yeah, everyone likes that. But what if you're playing with someone and they're already playing that E minor? It does not sound twice as good to have a 2nd person do the exact same type of chord. So if you wrote a song, we're hanging out, and you're singing your heart out, and you're playing your E minor chord, I'd go up here and I'd hit this E minor for a nice contrast, you know. And there's a lot you can do with a up the neck chord, you know, especially if someone else in the group is already banging on this E minor down here, or maybe that's being played on a piano, some sort of organ or whatever. It's a beautiful compliment, you know. Nothing like the sweet sound of an acoustic guitar making the big, warm acoustic sound, and an electric guitar playing at the same time, doing the higher, twangy stuff. I love that so much. I mean, it's like, I could eat it up, just eat it up. So there you go. So Charlie, I hope that answers your question. Just to recap, wherever your index finger is, that's the position you're in. Oh, by the way, you'll hear people talking about playing such and such a major scale in 7th position. And then they're just talking about wherever your index finger is. And it's a quick way. By the way, it's unique to guitar, right? A saxophone player is not thinking this way. You're not going to say to a saxophone player, oh, play that in 7th position. A to Z Me says D minor is the saddest of all chords. Oh, man. Spinal Tap. When I saw Spinal Tap, I laughed. I laughed so hard. I couldn't catch my breath. Thank you, Spinal Tap. What's interesting about Spinal Tap is as you move forward with your musical career after seeing Spinal Tap, the Spinal Tap moments start happening to you, and then it's not that they're no longer funny. It's just that when you watch Spinal Tap after being somehow in the music business in some sort of fashion for a decade or two, and you go back and you watch Spinal Tap, it's funny in a different way. But what a great movie. Deborah says, going beyond that first position seems like getting out of the comfort zone. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so, hey, Susan, welcome. Hey, Robbie, 24-ish. Deborah, the ideal one way to get out of that comfort zone is that thing I just illustrated. So, if you're doing an in-person lesson with someone, or just, had sitting with someone and let them strum an E minor chord, and they've got that, and you move up to the 3 treble strings, 7, 8, 9, and you lightly strum on that while they're strumming the old-fashioned E minor, then it's sort of it's proof of concept. You'll hear the nice harmony, and then you realize, okay, I paid for the whole guitar. I'm going to use the whole guitar. I can be up here playing E minor up high, and it sounds great. So I'm playing it down there. By the way, in this scenario, just because they're strumming a certain way on their old-fashioned E minor, you can do whatever you want with the E minor up higher. So in the scenario where, say, you wrote a song and you're singing your heart out with your E minor chord, I might be up here going, and you're still singing and strumming, but I'm arpeggiating the chord instead because it's a nice compliment, right? Why not? Not only am I voicing the chord higher up the neck, but I'm approaching it differently with my picking hand. And yeah, man, how cool is that? So yeah, so just know that, or maybe you're doing this as home recording, and you're recording yourself, you're overdubbing guitar parts. You don't have to strum both chords the same way. In fact, it can be great to not strum them the same way. Hey, Chris, welcome. Chris, sorry you're late, but you know what, Chris, we got a lot of time left. We got plenty to do. In fact, you haven't missed our guitar play along, which we'll be getting to in a second. Okay. So I love these questions coming in. So keep them coming, everybody. I feel obligated to repeat this every live stream. If I ever miss your question and you think, man, it's been 36 minutes, he hasn't answered my question, please put it in the chat again. Just make sure, just like Charlie did, a good half dozen question marks that I can see from a mile away. That's how I know your question is aimed at me, and I appreciate that. Don't forget, we got 42 of you watching right now. If you have not voted, the poll question of the night is your goal to perform on the guitar? And the answers I decide to throw out there, 4 possible answers. Yes, in front of friends and family, like low-key, campfire, some backyard party kind of performing. Another answer, yes, I want to perform, but specifically to record myself and perform in that sense. Number 3 answer, yeah, I want to perform like in public, on stage, in front of strangers. Like I want to really do this thing, like a working professional musician. Number 4, nope, my goal is not to perform. My goal is to play the guitar for my own happiness. Also a great answer. So don't forget to vote if you have access to the chat. Okay, so before we get to our play along song of the night, I hope you've been practicing your C7. I'm going to throw these chords back up here because the song I picked for this week is a little bit fancier than the ones I usually pick. So that's why I'm giving you guys a heads up about these chords right there. So those are the ones I'm hoping that you're brushing up on while our show continues. Okay, just to check off a couple of my boxes here, things I want to tell you guys about. My Chord-Melody book is getting close to being done. The book is written. It's 30 really nice chord-melody arrangements. I'm really proud of how they came out. Now I'm filming the videos. I have done half of the videos already. These are the songs. Just so you know, when I say a chord-melody song, a chord-melody arrangement, imagine really nice instrumental versions of the following tunes. I'm going to tell you a bunch of them right now. Imagine if you're in a nice restaurant, wedding reception, coffee shop, and there's one guitar player, and they're playing this instrumental tune. You're like, oh wait, oh, I love that song. Yeah, oh man, that sounds great. And the guitar player is doing a combination of chord strumming, but then putting in melody notes. It sounds like a very complete statement. And you think to yourself, God, that sounds like one of the coolest things you can do on the guitar. That is what a chord-melody arrangement is. So I have shot videos for, in alphabetical order, After the Gold Rush by Neil Young. That's going to be in the book. Alice's Restaurant will be in the book. Old Lang Syne, Autumn Leaves, Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, Can't Help Falling in Love, Cockles and Mussels, the Irish folk tune, Fields of Gold by Sting, Georgia on My Mind. By request, one of you guys requested a Tom Waits tune, I Hope That I Don't Fall in Love with You by Tom Waits. Let It Be. Make You Feel My Love, the Bob Dylan tune that Adele covered and Garth Brooks covered and Billy Joel covered. Beautiful tune, Make You Feel My Love. Minuet in G from Johann Sebastian Bach. Moon River and Morning Has Broken. Those are half the tunes in the book, and those are the ones I've shot all the videos for those. And it's going well. I'm really happy with how the new guitar sounds. My new LSL guitar is recording very nicely. The videos are coming out very nicely. So I hope to be giving you guys a heads up about the availability of that ebook very soon. Remember, it's an ebook, which means you get it delivered to you right away. You know, you think, oh, I'm going to get that book. You buy it, and pow, the PDF gets sent to you right away. The video, I'll probably put the video up on YouTube so anybody can see the video, and that'll whet your appetite. You might say, well, what is he talking about? What are the songs going to sound like if I practice them? And you can just watch the video, and you say, oh, that's a beautiful version of What a Wonderful World, or Yesterday, or Shenandoah, Summertime. I'm really loving how this book is turning out. So stay tuned, but that's the update on the progress of that book. I promised you a little quote, a really good quote from Albert King, great blues guitar player Albert King. Here's the advice he gave, and he happened to give it to Gary Moore, the terrific guitar player Gary Moore, but he could have given this advice to anybody, but Gary Moore told the story. So here's the quote. Gary Moore said, well, I can tell you what worked for me. The best piece of advice I ever got was from Albert King. He was leaving the studio after we tracked Oh Pretty Woman for the Still Got the Blues album. And right as he was walking out the door, he turned to me and said, Gary, play every other lick. And Gary Moore continued, said, that's all you need to know, isn't it? It's quite simple, yet it's the best thing anyone could ever tell you. Because let's face it, guitarists are like those guests at a dinner party who think they've got the most important thing to say, so they never shut up. So try to leave some big moments of silence in your solos, at least twice as long as what comes to you instinctively. How about that advice? Whatever you think is leaving a little space, make it twice as long. I love it. After a while, you get in the habit of hearing those spaces, and the waiting comes naturally. And if you've got a good tone, you'll create this anticipation where the audience can't wait for the next note. I remember feeling that way when I'd see Peter Green. I was hanging on every note he played, and then when he would hit the note, it would just go right through me. That's from Guitar Player Magazine. That's Gary Moore talking about advice from Albert King. So to illustrate what we're talking about, here's my A minor pentatonic in the 5th position. Here's what spaghetti sounds like. Right? You tune out after about 3 or 4 seconds of that, right? It's like, oh, well, in principle, here's what they're talking about. some space, right? Leave some space. It's easy. It's easy to not play. And yet, why is it so hard to not play, right? I have given that advice in different forms, but I really liked how Albert King said it, how Gary Moore interpreted it. So there you go. Play a few notes, take a breath. That's it. That's it. You know, and the one image I want you to have is you're at a convention or something and someone gets up to give a speech. Do you want to hear the speech where the person goes on and on and on, you know? Or do you want to hear the speech where someone's like, I got 3 things to tell you. 1, pow. You know, okay, give me your speech, man. Give me your speech. I want to hear those 3 things. You know, make it good. You got my attention. Make it good. So there you go. So when I hear a good quote like that, I think, I got to share it with you guys. Hey, speaking of quotes, student quote of the week. And this ties in with my discussion earlier of recording yourself. One of my weekly students was talking about where he's at in terms of his progress. And getting to the point where he really has not recorded himself and really wants to record himself. And I love what he said. He said, I want to see what I sound like. Yeah, weird, right? I mean, we hear ourselves every time you pick up the guitar, right? But it's not really objective, not really, you know? You get in your own way, you know? You play 20 great notes, you make one mistake, and now all you can think about is that mistake. Or you strumming, and get to a certain chord, and it takes too long to get to that chord, and then that's all you can think about, right? I get it. But I loved how he said that. I want to see what I sound like. Yeah, objectively, right? At a certain point, you know, aren't you curious? You know, you might think you know what you sound like. Recording yourself is both humbling, but also there's a chance, and I want you to focus on this, there's a chance that you will do something that sounds either better than you thought it was going to sound, or it sounds exactly like you want it to sound. And you cannot rule out that possibility that, as humbling as it might be, when you get to that clunker that you knew you're going to make, and sure enough, you made it for the recording, there are going to be other things where you think, oh, well, that I got that down, you know, because the tape doesn't lie, right? So, so I like where he was coming from. It's not just what he said, but I like where he was coming from. I want to see what I sound like. He got to a certain point where it's like as if he was ready, you know, like he knew he was getting to the point where it wasn't going to be a complete nightmare to listen to himself, you know, and I like that, right? I like that. And we all decide when we're ready. I'm sure I've had students who have never recorded themselves, ever. But that's, you know, it's not only is it kind of a bummer that someone is just not comfortable with that, it's also one of the absolute best things you can do. Just objectively, one of the best things you can do is to record yourself doing whatever you're doing. Yeah, Charlie says recording my singing is really humbling. Yeah, it is. Yeah, take some voice lessons, man. It's not rocket science. You know, if you can talk, you can sing. I won't list the examples, or maybe I will, of performers where their singing it ain't Broadway, it ain't opera, you know. And yet, dude, you know, Lou Reed, Jimi Hendrix, you know, Mark Knopfler, Bob Dylan, you know. I mean, you want to live in a world without all these people whose singing maybe is not Broadway caliber singing, but the artist is bringing something to the table, right? You know, you really want to hear someone else sing Jimi Hendrix songs? You want to hear them like, what are they? You got the Jimi Hendrix songs, and then that's how you sing them, you know. But Charlie, I feel you. I understand. Okay, let's get into our play along song of the week. We've been going for about an hour. Our play along song of the week, the band called The Band, Ophelia. All right, so I don't know if I'll be able to get both of these in the shot. As usual, I'm going to try to make this preparation short. Am I going to succeed? Let's find out together. Okay, Ophelia, let's get the right hand out of the way. All those little slash marks. Just steady right hand strumming. I'm not going to do anything fancy. Oh, why am I so confident about teaching you, Ophelia? $4 at the used bookstore. This was not my birthday shopping, but oh man, not only was this book $4. For the record, Your Honor, I'm holding up the Robbie Robertson Guitar Anthology Series, includes the greatest hits of the band, the authentic guitar tab edition from Hal Leonard, from Alfred Publishing, distributed by Hal Leonard. It was assembled for us, transcribed by Fred Sokolow. You know I'm a big Fred Sokolow fan. So how cool, man. Just very cool. About, 15 tunes. So that's where I made sure I was getting the chords right. Okay, so let's make this quick. I want to get into doing this tune. Right hand, nice, boring downstrokes. That's all that I'm going to be doing. Okay, nothing too crazy. Those 4 slash marks mean, strum C 4 steady times, E7 4 steady times, and so on. The only exception, sort of, see this little thing right here? C twice, A7 twice, D7 twice, G7 twice. Okay, two on each of those. It's fine. More significantly is this specific run here, which I'll get to in a minute. C 1 strum, C7 1 strum, D7 and E7 are following. But I'm going to encourage you guys, instead of playing an old-fashioned D7, old-fashioned E7, to walk that C7 up the neck. We'll talk about that. The C7 grip, walking it up the neck. And we'll talk about that. But that's how you're going to get to this F7. Some of you are saying, I don't know how to play F7, but you do, because it's C7 in 6th position. By the way, Charlie, I'm so happy now that you brought up the positions, because now I can keep referring to it. A C7 chord in 6th position, meaning your index finger's on 6th, that's an F7. Okay, so this riff that is in these 2 boxes is the same riff. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay, so right hand, nice downstrokes. And the only kind of funky syncopated thing are that box riff. We have the verse up top. We have the second verse in the middle, almost identical to the first verse, almost until that box part. We have the chorus down here. That is everything you need to know in terms of the structure of the tune. Let's call it verse 1, verse 2, chorus. Then it does another verse, and then right back to the chorus. I don't want to get too hung up on the structure, because I want to talk about the musical stuff, the physical stuff, and I don't want to get too hung up on the structure. But now that I've started discussing it, okay, verse 1, verse 2, chorus. Verse 1, then comes a guitar solo. During the guitar solo, it's as if the rest of the band went back to the top of the song and started the whole thing. It's as if they're playing verse 1, verse 2 again during the guitar solo. And then they all come back in and sing the chorus down here. Did I say that right? Yeah. And that's how the tune ends. Verse 1, verse 2, chorus. Verse 1, guitar solo, which is verse 1, verse 2 in the background. I don't think we're going to do that today, right? Just because I want to stick to the singing part. The guitar solo leads right into the final chorus. Okay, so that's the structure. Okay, last thing before we actually play this tune, which we're going to take slowly, by the way, don't stress. Those of you who know the tune, Ophelia, it moves right along. We're going to slow it down. Okay, let's talk about when you get to that boxed riff. And everything I'm about to say, it's the same here as it is here. We're coming either way. We have 4 nice steady strums on either the C chord just prior or the G7 just prior. Either way, once you get to this boxed riff, it's going to rhythmically 1, 2, 3, 4. C, and then C. So that, you know, those of you who know the tune, you can kind of feel that bum, 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 bottom. All downstrokes. I think I'm going to do downstrokes the whole time I play this. Okay, so let's talk about that riff. We got this C for one strum. That's that right there. I'm going to put down my pinky, and that's the C7. Up 2 frets, it's a D7. I'm only strumming the ones I'm touching, the 4 inside strings. Up 2 more frets, that's E7. By the way, I'm now in 5th position. Up 1 more fret, 6th position, and now I'm on that F7 right there. So that's how I highly recommend you play F7, you know. C, C7, D7, E7, F7. Okay. Now I'm going to go slower than that, but I want you to hear it sort of like at the speed of the tune. Okay, you feeling brave? You want to try this? I may, as we do this nice and slowly, I may pause or call out, you know, just so you all know where we are. Some of you are ready to rock and roll. You've been playing this for the last 5 minutes while I've been talking, and you sound great, by the way. And others are like, oh boy, okay, let's see what happens. Whatever happens, happens. And that's a healthy attitude too, by the way. Okay, so I'm gonna, of course, the song has a little introduction. I'm just gonna jump right in and start right there. You may catch me stealing a look over here to make sure I know how it goes. Let's see. How about if I put my lyrics like this? I'll see you on the other side. Oh, when it gets to the chorus, I'm going to sing it down an octave. We've talked about that a little bit in terms of singing and capos and changing keys. For both of our sakes, when you get to was it something that somebody said, that F7 right there, I'm going to sing it down an octave, you know. Okay, grab your C chord. We're going to give it 4 strums. I will see you on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boards on the window, mail by the door. Why would anybody leave so quickly for Ophelia? Where have you gone? Second verse. The old neighborhood, that ain't the same. Nobody knows just what became of Ophelia. Tell me what went wrong. Here comes the box. Was it something that somebody said? Honey, you know we broke the rules. Was it someone up against the law? Honey, you know I'd die for you. Beginning, ashes and laughter, the coast is clear. Why do the best things always disappear like Ophelia? Please darken my door. Okay, pause. At that moment in the tune, we are right there. We just finished the 3rd verse. The guitar solo kicks in. The rest of the band plays all of that, all of that. And here comes the final chorus. 2, 3, 4. Was it something that somebody said? Honey, you know we broke the rule. was somebody up against the law. Honey, you know I'd die for you. The G7 chord, whatever happens next, is sure going to be related to a C chord. It's going to be a C chord because G7 seems to always like to resolve to a C chord. Okay, and then the tune plays itself out. What happens next? They play the song out. Okay, so how'd you do? Did some of you, anybody, have success? Hopefully even more success than I did on that C. Bum, 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 bum. Hopefully we got 40 people. Hopefully one of you got that. Boom, bum, 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 bum. How fun, right? How fun. Sounds great on electric guitar. Sounds great on acoustic guitar, you know? Okay. So, yeah, I'm sure you sounded great. Do I have any more words of wisdom? No, except, of course I do. Notice I was keeping the strumming simple. You don't have to get crazy, you know, to give it a little personality. You know, you could hear I was strumming the first time, letting it ring, and the second time, my right hand was snapping back, you know, giving the song a little personality, a little backbeat. You know, why not? Why not, right? Scott says that run lost me. You know, it lost me. I got it right. There's one time when I wasn't ready for it, and it lost me too. But number one, take it slowly. Work on anything. Work on it out of context, and then put it back into the context. So when I say out of context, there's that box right there. C, C7, C7, 2 frets higher, and 2 frets higher, and 1 fret higher. So I'm doing that box, and I'm ultimately ending up on that F7. And just do it out of context, okay? C, C7, D7, E7, F7. However many times you can stand it, you know? You can, for the fun of it, you can count. You can say, I'm going to do it 25 times. You can say, I'm going to do it for 4 minutes and set your clock, whatever amuses you, you know? Listen to the recording, you can hear the whole group, the ensemble. 2, 3, 4, here it comes. You can hear it, which is amazing and beautiful, and don't take that for granted. You will be learning things someday that are terrifically important, but hard to hear in the recording. Sometimes it happens, right? And that's so much more frustrating than when you can hear the drums, the bass, everybody essentially bum, 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 all doing it as an ensemble. Total game changer. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's a lot easier than when there's something happening and you've been told, hey, this thing is going on, and it's accurate, but it's just hard to hear it. Oh, that's tricky. That's tricky, you know. A to Z Me is making a good point. This is more of an ensemble song. It sounds good in a band than just a solo guitar thing. Oh, yeah, yeah. In fact, what I was doing is not literally what Robbie Robertson is doing. He's putting in cool little fills. He's voicing these chords in different ways. What I did right there, it's the best. It's how I would do it if I was by myself, campfire, open mic night, barbecue, whatever, you know. I would do exactly what I just did: acoustic guitar and just straightforward strumming. And it works, in my opinion. It works. You got to sell it, you know. You got to do it with confidence. You got to know the words. You got to sell it, but it works. I'm not talking about a recording session where you want to show the world what your idea of art is, and it's just you and no other musicians. I might not pick this tune. I might not do it that way. We're talking about the campfire, barbecue, you know? Yeah. Yep. Okay. Aaron, I see your question. A to Z Me, you know all the words. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. All right. Aaron, I think you were asking, and Aaron says, any tips for starting? I have 2 acoustics, he says. Any tips for starting? Well, first of all, you're in the right place. So, thank you for being here, and just check in with us every Saturday. Aaron, this is the 62nd one of these live streams. Go back and check out the other ones. You don't have to watch all 2 hours of the previous. No, what's this? This is the 61st. You don't have to go back and watch all 2 hours of all 60. Pull up the video, and I have a playlist, and then you can see in the timestamping in the description, you can see different topics, different play-along songs, you name it. So tips for starting out, Aaron. And I encourage you guys to jump in and give Aaron some advice too. Number 1, be patient with yourself. If I could go back to day 1, I would get a teacher from day 1. Number 2, can't go wrong. Learn the basic chords, E minor, nice and easy. But don't underestimate the power of an E minor played the right time, the right place, the right feeling. A major, A minor. There's 16 chords, scales. Aaron, you want to learn how to read tab, T-A-B, tab. It's easy, but you want to learn how to read it, because there's tons and tons of information available at any level, beginner, intermediate, advanced, all written out in tabs. So, but those of you who have other advice for Aaron, feel free to jump in. But bottom line, Aaron, there's 16 classic common chords. And the sooner you get to work on those, the better, but just be patient with yourself. Some of them are harder than others. And any scale playing makes your fretting fingers more coordinated, faster, more confident. Okay, now since you asked, I'm going to grab some stuff. Hold on. Okay. Aaron, head over to www.song-bike.com. The Guitar Week 1, written for people who just got their first guitar. The Guitar Month 1 and the Guitar Year 1. Okay, these are electronic books. I highly recommend them. I spend a lot of time on them. I use them with my in-person students. When you buy it, you get it emailed to you instantly as a PDF. I highly recommend every page of those books: the Guitar Week 1, the Guitar Month 1, and the Guitar Year 1. But you guys jump in and give Aaron some advice. And Aaron, thank you for being here. Hey, let's jump in to see what's up with our poll here. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Poll question of today: is your goal to perform? 16% say yeah, on stage in public, in front of strangers, rock and roll. That's 16%. 22% say yeah, but my main thing is recording myself. That's my main performing. 27% say yes, I do want to perform in front of friends and family. Excellent. 35% no. I play the guitar for me. Yeah, and I get that. There's no right answers, no wrong answers. I just like knowing where you guys are coming from. In fact, I hope you're all playing the guitar for your own therapy, your own sanity. But I'm curious, about the whole thing about getting out there and playing. One reason I do these guitar play-along things is in case some of you are looking to play in any sort of performing type of situation. I want to make sure that I'm doing my part in setting you up for success with songs that are relatively easy. It's easy is not a term I like to use because it's not a very helpful term. But songs that are, even though this one's pushing the envelope a little bit by my standards, songs that are clear, like this jug of water. That's better. Okay, so my friends, we got about 30 minutes left here. It is definitely not too late to get questions in. Joseph says, he says, are you ever going to do a Skype play along? Interesting idea. Interesting idea. Yeah. Through Skype or through some form where I guess maybe like I pick, say, 10 tunes and just throw them up here, minimal chit chat, maybe a quick little reminder of certain thing, and then just go right into it. That's a great idea, Joseph. Yeah, I like that. Let me say maybe. I love that idea. And I would, publicize it. I mean, we could do it as part of the live stream, but my only concern is I like kind of jumping from topic to topic here in the live stream because there's 34 of you watching at the moment, and typically there's hundreds of views in the coming days for people who watch this after the fact. And you guys are all coming from such different places. I like kind of jumping from topic to topic. I like answering your questions. I don't want to lose someone by like, the guy's doing 10 play along songs in a row. So I'd probably set it up as something, a separate thing from this live stream. But I would keep you guys posted, and then whoever wanted to join in could join in. That's a great idea. Okay. All right. So a while back, I forget if it was during the live stream. I think it was during the live stream. Someone was asking about the location of where my music shop is. And we started out as a music store / school. We sold retail products and we had a ton of lessons with different teachers, including myself. And over the years, we've adapted to economic circumstances and dealt with COVID and stuff. So here's why I bring this all up. If any of you are inclined to say hi, and you happen to be in the neighborhood of my music shop in Connecticut, essentially, if I'm sitting here, I'm doing something such as talking to you guys, or more likely teaching lessons. I teach about anywhere from, 7, 8, 9, 10 in-person students or online students every day, except Sunday. So I just want to give you guys a heads up. It's possible that you'd be like, there's the music shop, man. And there's, Jonathan's inside. And I just won't be able to chit chat and stuff. And just because I'll be literally with a student or doing something like this. So if you're in Connecticut, if you happen to be in Connecticut and you want to say hi, send me an email in advance. I would hate for someone to make any big effort only to find, the door is locked like it is right now, or, I'm with a student and I just can't give you, a nice hello the way I'd want to as a fellow human being, because I got a paying customer right there with me, So just send an email, info@song-bike.com. And if you happen to be in the neighborhood, and give me an advance notice, and maybe we can work something out, because I would love to give you a proper hello, I just want to revisit that subject because it came up. Birthday books, you guys. I showed you a couple of Eagles books a couple weeks ago, a couple live streams ago, and those were birthday purchases. Where's my birthday books? Oh man, might have to wait till next time. I got some cool other books for my birthday. Are they behind the Wizard of Oz in here? Well, they can't have gone far. They can't have gone far. Where could they be? Oh, well, I'll show you a couple of them that I do have handy. Okay, so you guys know there's a bookstore I love. I get these books for maximum $8, if not $4 or $5. So these are birthday books that I couldn't wait to show you. One is a jazz book, Jazz Guitar Jammin', it's called, by Chris Amelar, Amelar, from Hal Leonard Publications. Improvise in the style of the greatest jazz masters with authentic sounding backing tracks for the guitar. Look at that. There's the CD right there. I have a CD player. This book looks great. It looks great. The beautiful thing about it is they show a jazz tune and they show all the chords you need in order. I mean, they've written out with chords, right? Then they give you scales. Let's see the best way to put this. Yeah, they show you what scale you would improvise with at any moment during the song. You know, jazz people, they're changing all the time, right? They don't just say A minor pentatonic and play a whole solo for the whole song, right? Over all the chord changes. They jump around because they're smart. And this book, I really like how they present it. So I can't wait to get into that. Jazz guitar jamming. This one, $4. $4, come on. And check out this one, also a birthday purchase, also with a CD in the back. From the pen of Wolf Marshall. You guys have any Wolf Marshall books? The series called Signature Licks, The Guitars of Elvis. Scotty Moore, Hank Garland, James Burton, a step-by-step breakdown of their playing techniques from Wolf Marshall. The Guitar Signature Licks series from Hal Leonard. Again, Hal Leonard, always with a Hal Leonard. Oh, about 15 tunes, but this is the note-for-note stuff, not what Elvis is playing. No offense. Elvis, you know, he could play the guitar, but he couldn't play the guitar like Scotty Moore, Hank Garland, and James Burton. So all those cool riffs on all these Elvis tunes. Oh, I can't wait. The different solos and stuff for these tunes. Oh, man. And yeah, again, there's the CD. Presumably the CD is of Wolf Marshall himself playing the stuff he's teaching. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Again, $4, you guys. You could spend months. I know I make a big deal about the price. It's just that, from my point of view, you know, I can't get out of the coffee shop for under $8. And for $4, these used books like that could keep you entertained and educated and moving in a forward direction for months. Oh man, I have a small problem because I can't stop buying these things because they're all so interesting and I can use them for my own benefit and to show you guys stuff. Like I can't wait to find an Elvis thing that I can turn into a teachable moment for all of us, you know, like I'm going to do in a minute with that Paul Gilbert Layla thing. I'll show you. Anyways, so these are two of the birthday books. I showed you guys the Eagles books that I got, although those were not so much for me. It's just more that I couldn't resist because the price was so cheap. And I know I'm going to have a student that is going to benefit from having a nice thick book of Eagles songs. Okay, you ready for hey, I want to say thank you for these super chats. Randy and Joseph and Zoologia Zombie. Thank you so much for your super chats. Those of you who are so inclined, a super chat is when you make a donation to support what we're doing right here. And I thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Randy did that, and Joseph and Zoologia Zombie. So I want to thank you guys for all doing that. I appreciate that so much. Scott Rose says, I'm going into week 2 of a 6-week paid sabbatical. A lot of time with guitar, books, and just playing. Oh, do it, man. Enjoy every minute. That's great. Deborah says, if my family and I are ever planning to pass by Connecticut or visit there, I would email you about it first. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Like I said, I would hate to have someone make a special trip and just have it not work out. Okay, so I think we have plenty of time. My dumb question of the week. Ready for my dumb question of the week? Does playing guitar change your hands? And I'm specifically talking about your fretting hand. What do you think? I have a dumb question. What do you think? Does playing the guitar actually change your hands? After playing the guitar for months and years, can your hands do things that they couldn't have done otherwise? You know, look at my pinky. Isn't that weird? My pinky can really extend out like that. What's up with that? Oh, I just thought of something. Okay, so my left hand, my pinky can extend out. My right hand, ooh, it feels weird to do with my right hand, and it feels I'm a righty. See that? Okay, so that's going to be part of the way I answer this question. There's no logical reason why my left hand pinky could extend far away from my other fingers, and my right hand, I mean, I can do it, but I feel like I'm forcing it, and it kind of feels weird and stiff. So my answer, yes, for sure. The more you play the guitar, the more your tendons and ligaments and muscles respond. You know, my student, Dr. Collier, Dr. Collier educated me about how muscle responds quickly to being asked to do stuff. Tendons and ligaments take longer to do what you hope they're going to do, like stretch. But they'll do it. It just takes longer. So yeah, so this is my answer. If I didn't play the guitar, I don't think I'd be able to do that. And see that? Look at that. That's not weird. My pinky can stretch up like that. I mean, I'm not the only one. Chuck Berry, yeah, guitar players can do that. So to answer my own dumb question, if you practice enough, yeah, your fretting hand especially will become different. It just will. I'm not just talking about faster fingers, but the underlying anatomical stuff that leads to faster fingers. Not just the ability to jump up, but the ability to stretch up in ways that you couldn't do. I just wish I could tell you how quickly it would happen, But yeah, so that's my dumb question. And I think I never thought of that before. But there you go. If your fretting hand can do something that presumably your dominant hand is less comfortable doing, that must be proof. It must be. Hey, Chaz, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I really do. Scott says the left hand was hard at first, decades of almost never doing anything with it besides typing. It feels better now after 4 years of playing. Yeah. And now you're working on your right hand accuracy. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Gregory is bringing up an even more obvious point that I totally forgot. Developing calluses on your fretting hand. Yeah, for sure. So there's an absolute change. In fact, you can compare the calluses that I hope you're developing on your fretting hand to your picking hand, which almost certainly does not have calluses. And if they look different, you earn that. You earn that, man. If they don't look different, yeah, that's okay. But if they do, it's because you're a guitar player and you've been playing a lot, And I would guess that the more you play, the more obvious the two, the differences are going to be. So yeah, Susan, I'm sorry about your rotator cuff. Hey, but how smart are you, Susan? Susan says, I'm focusing on music theory now because of her torn rotator cuff. How smart are you? Yeah, I mean, that's what you do, man. You find a way. You find a way to keep moving forward. And I'll say the same thing to everybody. You'll never regret every little bit of music theory you can grab. You'll never regret it. You'll just see your music theory knowledge, however much you have, you will see it confirmed, affirmed over and over again. The more songs you play, the more things you do, for sure. Okay, so this is going to be kind of short. Well, I always say that. Who knows? Who knows what this is going to be? But this is the Paul Gilbert Layla exercise. And the last live stream last week, which was number 60, right? Okay. I put a link in there to this cool Paul Gilbert video, and I recommend watching the entire video. He just seems like a cool guy who is excited about teaching stuff and maybe had too much coffee. I hope it was coffee because otherwise he's just a wired dude. Paul Gilbert is one of those guitar players that was just not on my radar. I knew the name. I knew he was a big shot. But when I saw him on this video on social media, I thought, I like this guy, and I liked what he was teaching. Okay, so I'm going to show you what he taught, and then I'll show you as a teacher what I did with what he taught, because how I make my living, man, is like get some information and then turn it into a lesson plan. Turn it into a something that's sort of digestible and fun, so to speak. That sounds weird, right? Digestible and fun. And yet, I'm sticking to those terms. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking for a minute. I'm going to simply play what he taught. I moved it, just so you know, I moved it backwards 2 frets towards the nut. I'm doing it with a D minor pentatonic. He did it in the key of E minor. Okay. Okay, the same 4 notes 3 different ways. There's a diagram. Real quick, notice that that's the 5th fret. See that big number 5? And you guys see that okay? I'm going to scooch this over a little bit. Okay, you see that big number 5 right there? Okay, we're going to take this riff we're going to use pairs of strings, adjacent pairs of strings. That's significant. The first thing I'm going to show you is on the 2 fat strings. Then the same notes, 1 octave higher on the 2 center strings, that's the 3rd and 4th strings, and then the same notes an octave higher than that on the 2 treble strings, the 2 skinny strings, all right? And this will lead to what I'm calling the Paul Gilbert / Layla exercise. Okay. Everything I'm about to do is going to involve the index and pinky. Do not use any other fingers. Index and pinky, please, please. Okay. 6th string, the fat E string. 5 with your index, 8 with your pinky, and the 5th string, 5, 8. 5, 8, 5, 8. No big deal, but hey, it does give your pinky a little exercise. For the record, those are 4 of the 5 notes of a D minor pentatonic scale. Okay. For those of you who like soloing with pentatonic scales, this is very relevant because I can get those same notes, the same 4 notes of a D minor pentatonic scale. By the way, the note D is 5th string, 5th fret. I circled the A's, yeah, I circled those just because that's the way I'm presenting it now. That's what we're starting on. We're starting on the note A. For the record, the notes are from a D minor pentatonic scale. Okay, you ready to move? We're going to shift to the 2 center strings, the 4th and 3rd strings, the D and G strings. We're also going to shift up 2 frets. So we're going to shift to the 2 center strings, but also 2 frets higher. 1, 2, and I'm going to make sure I'm on the 4th and 3rd strings. 7, 10, 7, 10. Still index, pinky, index, pinky. So the same 4 notes, 1 octave higher. Final shift, the 2 treble strings up 3 frets. 1, 2, 3, 10, 13, 10, 13. Okay, so we have 5, 8, 5, 8, 7, 10, 7, 10, 10, 12, 10, 13, 10, 13. So if you can see, I put a little circle with a ballpoint pen. I put a little circle around these. He refers to these as islands. It's kind of cool, like this little thing floating, a little 4-note island. You know, this island is floating right there on the bass strings. This island's floating right there. I thought it was kind of an interesting term. I love an interesting metaphorical term, especially if I had not used that term or thought of that term, but I can totally see why someone else did. I think, ooh, okay. You know, 3 little islands floating in the sea of your fretboard. Okay. And I'll say it one last time. I think I play the same 4 notes in 3 different octaves, low, medium, and high, on 3 different pairs of strings, 6 and 5, 4 and 3, 2 and 1. Okay, so what's the relevance? Well, again, this is a D minor pentatonic scale, 4 of the 5 notes. If you were soloing and you needed a D minor pentatonic, you can easily jump around. Give yourself a few minutes of practice, but now you're jumping around in 3 different octaves. You could repeat the same riff, which we'll do with Layla in a second, or you can do totally different things. You just have to remember the shifts, okay? The shifts. You're shifting this way and this way, you know? You're shifting from lower to higher frets, and you're shifting either towards the floor or towards the ceiling. But give yourself time. This is just easy enough that anybody can do it, and it's just hard enough that you have to have your brain turned on for a minute, right? Makes for a very cool exercise. Okay, so let's wrap up with taking this very cool thing And instead of practicing it and treating it like an exercise, let's play Layla, right? Layla happens to be in the key of D minor. Where are we here? Right? That riff, by the way, for 2 gold stars and a hearty handshake, who actually composed that famous Layla riff? It was not Eric Clapton. You guys know this, right? Of course you do. Who said, oh, I got a riff for your song, Eric. I think you'll like this riff. And the rest is history. Who was it? Yeah, A to Z me. You got the right answer. I won't say it because we'll see who else might know that. How cool is that? Oh, Eric, I got a riff for you. And like, let's face it, man, if it weren't for that, I mean, it's a perfectly cool song, but if it weren't for that riff, are you kidding me? You know, oh man, how cool. A to Z me got the right answer. Anybody else know who that was? Young guy hanging out with Eric Clapton, you know, ended up playing guitar on the track, doing some beautiful slide guitar on the track. Who was that? Ooh, Charlie Beagle, good guess, but no, not George Harrison. Nope. I bet someone else knows it. I'll give you a few more seconds. Okay, so the Layla pentatonic exercise. I'm using that first 5/8, 5/8 on the bass strings to illustrate how Layla would sound if we did it based on this Paul Gilbert exercise. By the way, my right hand, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Yeah, Randy knows. Randy and A to Z me, you guys get 2 gold stars and 100 points and a hearty handshake. Duane Allman. Duane Allman is the composer. He's the one who wrote. Hey, I wonder, does he get a songwriting credit? I've never seen Duane Allman's name in the credits of that song. That's weird. Also, you should know that the speed of the recording tape of Layla was changed a little bit so that no matter how perfectly you can play Layla, you're always going to sound a little bit out of tune from the original recording unless you retune your guitar to match the pitch of the recording. I forget if it was sped up or slowed down. I'm going to guess it was sped up. So don't be surprised if you go to play anything along with the original recording of Layla and your guitar sounds a little out of tune. There you go. Okay, so here's your challenge. Your challenge is to play the Layla riff, A, C, D, F, D, C, D, 5/8, 5/8. Okay, to play it with your index and pinky. Then to play it in the 2 other octaves without anyone teaching you. Okay, if you've practiced that, you should be able to take the Layla riff in the lowest octave and play it in the 2 other octaves. Easy, easy. If it helps you, you could write it out. But, you know. By the way, I'm so happy with my new guitar. The neck feels so good. I hope you guys enjoy the necks of your guitars half as much as the way this neck feels. It feels so good. Oh my gosh. I feel super lucky. Long story short, I found a guitar where I didn't want that exact guitar, but I want that exact neck. I was so happy with the neck. And I had this salesperson write down the specs of that neck. Long story short. So when I ordered this, I knew exactly what I wanted, but you don't know till you get it, right? And then, it feels so good. And I went with a satin finish on the back, which is almost like no finish. I mean, it's easy to imagine the day when it's just down to bare wood. It's a personal goal of mine. But even with just the satin finish, it just feels so good. Oh man, I'm so happy. And I believe I'm happy with the rest of the guitar too. But if you really like how your neck feels, it's a beautiful thing. So, hey man, the LSL Guitar Company, I mean, they just hit a home run. Oh man, it feels good. So yeah, okay. just had to get that off my chest. Okay. Like I said, the entire Paul Gilbert video, of which this whole thing is just the first of of 3 or 4 things he teaches. The link to that video is already in the description of live stream number 60, and I'll probably put it in the description of this video. Just a fun video to watch, and I just like the guy, you know. And I have to admit, I don't know much about, like, I only know him as a human being on the internet. I don't actually know his music very much. I just have a feeling he's such a hot shot player that it's not a type of music I gravitate to. With the guitar playing is so hot, the whole shredding thing, you know. But I'm going to check him out because I just like his attitude, and I want to drink whatever coffee he was drinking because the dude is wired, man. Okay, bear with me, my friends. Hey, we got a few minutes left. It's not too late to ask a question. Put some question marks in advance. I just want to check off some of this stuff. Okay. Now, as the show gets close to the end, stick around because there's a few things I want to run past you. Oh my gosh, we haven't done Stairway to Heaven. Okay, so in a minute, we're going to do the Stairway to Heaven, part 3 of Stairway to Heaven. Before we get there, Christian from Denmark. I don't see you in the chat. Christian, last live stream, I said, hey, Christian from Denmark, my friend is on tour in Denmark playing these blues festivals and stuff. I mean, if you feel like going out and seeing some live music, go see my friend. And he did. And he sent me photos to prove it. And I was having issues with my Dropbox thing, so I couldn't see the photos. So I had to write back and say, hey, man, can you send me those photos any other way, even just whatever? And I unless he sent them just recently, right before the live stream, I haven't received those photos yet, which is totally fine. But as you can imagine, it just tickles me to no end that you know, to make that human connection, man. I've known Johnny Bergen since the early 1990s in Chicago, and then Christian I know from the live stream all the way in Denmark. Very cool. So that made my, I haven't even seen the photos yet, but already made my day. And I can't wait to check in with Johnny and say, hey, man, you know, isn't that cool? Other things I want to run past you guys. In the link of, in the description of this video, soon after we wrap up, I'm going to put a link to a very cool interview with Jerry Garcia that was recorded in 1989 by the Smithsonian, and now it's part of this Grateful Dead exhibit that the Smithsonian has. And those of you who are Grateful Dead fans, Jerry Garcia fans, or simply like American music fans, like the roots of American music, it's so fun listening to Jerry Garcia talk about his love of banjo and his approach to improvising, and just very, it's what I always want to hear, as opposed to, yeah, man, on that last tour, I used a Marshall, and then I used my 7-string guitar on this one deep cut, and like, that stuff gets old kind of quickly. What I love hearing about is a lot of the topics they covered, which is, hey, my uncle gave me this guitar. I could do this thing. I heard this banjo player. It made me want to do this. Here's my approaches. Oh, it's such a cool interview. So I'll put the link to that in the description of this video. I haven't put it there yet. Real quick, some of the coolest guitar players on YouTube. I got 3 for you in no particular order because they're all awesome. Jerron Paxton, Jerron Paxton, Paxton, multi-instrumentalist. I'll be putting in the description of this video a link to him playing guitar and singing, but he plays the banjo, plays piano, just super cool. Blues, ragtime, old school banjo playing. Highly recommend Jerron Paxton. So there'll be shortly there'll be a link to a cool YouTube video of him. the Los Angeles League of Musicians, LALOM. First of all, what a cool name for a band, LALOM, the Los Angeles League of Musicians. Super cool guitar instrumental stuff with a surf/Latin kind of retro instrumental vibe going on. Nice twangy guitar. Drummer doing the coolest thing. The drummer's playing with one stick on a drum set, with one stick. But the drummer's left hand, instead of smacking on a snare drum, he has a conga drum with his bare hand. Oh, it's so cool. You'll see it in the video. The Los Angeles League of Musicians. Very cool instrumental stuff. You know, I love instrumental music as an alternative to, you know, the onslaught of lyrics and singers' voices, which is beautiful, but it can be such a relief to hear just instrumental. So I highly recommend LALOM, the Los Angeles League of Musicians. I'll be posting a link to one of their YouTube videos. Last but not least, Kathy Fink and Marcy Marxer. Those are names that go way back in my experience. I heard about them in the late 80s. Acoustic guitar, banjo, kind of cool, folky kind of stuff. Well, they got even cooler when they connected with a woman, and I'm sure I'm not going to say her name correctly, Chao Shan from China, playing hammered dulcimer. Those of you who don't know what hammered dulcimer is, you're about to find out. This Appalachian Chinese mesh. Oh, it sounds so cool. So I'll be posting a link to that video in the description of this video. And for many reasons, they are the third of our 3 coolest guitar players on YouTube for the week. Kathy Fink, Marcy Marxer, and Xiao Chan, the Los Angeles League of Musicians, who have a new album out, I believe, and Jaron Paxson, who might also have a new album out. When our video is done, give me 5 minutes, and I'll be posting a whole bunch of links in the description of this video. Okay, check. Okay, some of you emailed questions, and I might not have time to get to those questions in this video, but I do welcome anybody to email me questions so I can sort of line those up to hopefully address in future live streams. So don't be shy. Info at song-bike.com, and you can email me a question. Okay, I think I'm just about ready to the fire trucks. Definitely the parade is over. By the way, in the town next door is the annual muster. What's a muster? M-U-S-T-E-R. Fife and drum corps. Yeah, a whole bunch of different fife and drum corps show up every August in the town next to the town I'm in right now. And they spend a weekend drinking beer, and they even play music sometimes. And it's a very cool thing. You can be, you know, kind of laying awake, falling asleep a mile or 2 away from the baseball field where they're camped out. And this is a small town, folks. And you can hear them playing, especially the drums. You can hear it a mile or 2 away because, you know, it's quiet part of the world here. And no, it's only 1 weekend a year. You can't really complain. And I don't know how big fife and drum corps stuff is in your neck of the woods. Pretty big around here. Different fife and drum corps come from all over to the town of Westbrook, Connecticut, about this time of year every year. And when they're not drinking beer, they have been known to play some music. So there you go. Little local flavor here in Connecticut. Okay. All right, my friends. How about if we do our Stairway to Heaven and then wrap up? I want to make sure that you guys, got 33 of you. I want to make sure you guys get your money's worth here. Okay. As you know, we have been learning Stairway to Heaven back to front. And here comes today's piece of the puzzle. This is a huge part of the song. Huge, with like 5 U's. Huge. And the reason this is a huge part of the song is, check out the timing. From 2 minutes and 40 seconds to 5 minutes and 35 seconds, this riff repeats. Now there's something it repeats with. We'll do that next week, but you're going to need this lesson right here. You're going to need that for just about 3 minutes of the middle of Stairway to Heaven. Okay. So before we wrap up today, let's do a quick review of this. The day's going to come when I'm going to quiz you guys and all this, and I'm going to put up page after page, starting with the end of the song and the middle and the beginning, and we are going to play slowly through the entire song of Stairway to Heaven. I get such a kick out of this because it's the only song I know that gets easier as the song progresses, with the glaring exception of the rock and Jimmy Page guitar solo towards the end of the tune. I'm conveniently leaving that out of the conversation. If you take that out of the conversation, Stairway to Heaven gets easier as the tune goes. Okay, so where are we at here? This is the part of the song. Recognize that? Okay. What are the words of this part of the song? There's a feeling I get when I look to the west. Whatever the words are at 2 minutes and 40 seconds. You will be, my friends, you will be arpeggiating some really easy chords. As we do this is only going to take another minute or two. Okay, 5 minutes. I want to point out the obvious. This is Jimmy Page. What is Jimmy Page doing? He's playing a C chord. Don't underestimate the power of regular chords. Like we talked about earlier in the chat, someone says, "Well, I just know chords." Yeah, man, that means you're ready to play Stairway to Heaven, you know? So what you need, C major, a G chord, but really, trust me, what you really need is your middle finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. You do not need to fret the skinny 1st string. You do not need to fret the fat 6th string. Just middle finger. I highly encourage you to use your middle finger, please. Middle finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. That's why it's called a G/B. It's a G chord, but the way we're playing it, the B note is the lowest note. Okay, an A minor chord. Little hammer on, we'll talk about that. But in terms of your left hand, your fretting hand, C, this 1 finger G chord, A minor. Later on, I know it says F, but Jimmy Page does not strum a big F chord. He strums a mini F chord. 2nd, 3rd, 4th strings. Okay, 2nd string, 1st fret, index finger. 3rd string, 2nd fret, middle finger. 4th string, 3rd fret, ring finger. Little 1, 2, 3. That's all you need. I mean, you're welcome to do a big bar chord, but there's no reason to, because he just hits that one time, and then a regular old-fashioned A minor. Okay, and the only other dynamic, and it's very important, is that cool little walk up. It's so important that I put arrows pointing at it. There it is right there. That 0-2 business. You got to use your middle finger on 2. But you know what? You're going to be in the habit of using the middle finger on 2 because you use the middle finger on 2 right there. Same string, same fret, same middle finger. This is the exact same 0-2 business right there, exact same finger. Okay? Okay, you could do this whole thing with downstrokes. And to keep it simple, for our purposes right at the moment, I might suggest playing this whole thing all with downstrokes because I don't want you to overthink. I don't want to make this any more. I don't want to muddy the waters. Okay, so check it out. Here's my C chord. What strings am I going to play? Those strings right there. 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd. That's it. That's it. That's my C chord. Middle finger for the G/B. Look at my middle finger. Look where it is right now on the C chord. Boom. Done. Right there. Fifth string, second. See how easy that was? C to this G/B. Your pick is going to, and by the way, definitely, let's do it with a pick, just like Jimmy Page. Your pick is going to play the same 4 strings that it did for the C chord. C, G. I'm calling it G. Technically, it's G/B. Okay. Now, here comes the A minor business. Check this out. I very much want you to be thinking about the old-fashioned A minor chord. You do not have to grab it right away, but no matter what, I want you to use the same 3 fingers that you would use to play an A minor chord. Now is not the time to get creative. See that 0-1 hammer-on the second string? Make sure you do that with your index finger, your fretting hand index finger. And then if you haven't already, at that moment, form the rest of the A minor chord the same way you would always do A minor. You do not want your fretting hand to be scrambling here. It's an A minor chord. It just happens to do a hammer-on first. You are welcome to grab the entire A minor chord before your right hand even does anything, and then begin playing that measure with a hammer-on. Okay? You don't have to. You could take it one thing at a time. But as soon as you finish that hammer-on, put your middle and ring down, again, exactly like you would for a regular A minor. Don't get those 2 fingers messed up. You want to form the entire chord as soon as it's feasible. Okay? And then here comes that little run right there. Leads you to line 2. Line 2 is the exact same. It's the C, G over B. But see my mistake right there? Ignore that big black blob. Ignore that. It's the same notes that Jimmy Page played up above. But before he plays that last 0, you can see I got carried away. I was so excited. He very quickly grabs that F chord, strums it, and then strums an A minor chord. I'm going to play line 2 for you slowly. Oops. I didn't get the F just right. And there's the walk up again. I'm rushing it a little bit. I think the song is a little bit slower than that. Okay. Is this easy? No. Is it hard? Come on, man. It's C. It's C. Think of the things that you may prefer not to see, like a hard F chord. It's an easy F chord, you know. G. It's a 1-finger G. You know, A minor, hammer-on. You can do a hammer-on. Okay. So I'm not saying this is easy peasy beginner stuff, but we can all agree. It's, you know, you think of Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. You're probably thinking, you know, something that happens over the course of 3 minutes. The song is, what, 8 minutes long. 3 minutes of it is this and the riff I'll show you next time, right? Kind of easy, right? I'll say this, it's way easier than I thought it was going to be, you know? It's Stairway to Heaven, man. Isn't the whole thing hard? No, you know. There's a feeling I get when I look to the west, and a spirit is dying for me. Oh, it's so cool. That, in my mind, that's one of those things that it just sounds great by itself, you know. But you probably have someone in your life that knows the words, you know, or that is willing to hum along with you, right? Now, I mean, that's a huge part of the song. Just keep repeating it over and over again, right? And get someone to sing along with you. For those of you who want to play and sing at the same time, I don't recommend it with this, at least not to start. Or put it this way, if you're trying to play this and sing at the same time and it's not going well, correct. Yeah, just work on playing this to the best of your ability to get someone else to sing it. Or, you know, work on it really, really hard, get really good at it, and then put the singing on. But this is, I don't think this is the world's easiest thing to sing along with. You can do it someday. I'm just saying, don't get frustrated. You know, don't beat yourself up if you can't sing and play at the same time on this part of the song. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Questions, comments? What do you think? Joseph says that walk down is a common one used in many songs. You got it. You got it. It's a classic. Actually, I would call it a walk up because you have that A setting sound. 0, 2, 3. But yeah, Joseph, you're right. Joseph recognizes it from Have You Ever Seen the Rain? If Not For You, Peaceful, Easy Feeling. Yeah. You might be 100% accurate, or you might be, it might be in a different key or something, but your ear is for sure, Yeah, Willie Snyder, did I say hello, Willie? Thanks for being here. Willie says, thanks for sharing all of your great knowledge. Oh, Willie, you were very, very welcome. Charlie says, thanks for another good Saturday afternoon. You're very welcome. Okay, Deborah has been watching Tomo Fujita. Yeah, A to Z Me says, ragtime guitar is awesome. Got into it about a year ago. Incredibly helpful with your timing and tempo. Yeah. Scott is talking about his Fender Telecaster with a great neck. Scott, what does FHM stand for? You said you had a Fender FHM Telecaster. I'm curious what the FHM stands for. Rock Lobster wants to hear the Bigsby. Wants to hear what it sounds like with a Bigsby. There you go. That's for you, Rock Lobster. Since it's the end of the live stream, and if it goes a little bit out of tune, we're done. All right, you guys. Final poll results. Here it comes. This is your last chance. If you haven't voted, you got to scramble to vote right now. This is it. Final poll results. Is your goal to perform on the guitar? 29% say, yeah, in front of friends and family. Yeah, that's my goal. 21%, yes, but only to really just record myself. I want to do it. That's my goal. 16% say, yeah, I want to perform in public. I want to rock out, man. Get that wild applause. But the majority, 34%, is that a plurality? Is that what it means? A plurality, 34%. 34% say, no, my goal is not to perform. Playing guitar is for me. So very interesting. Very cool, you guys. All right, my friends. You guys had some great questions tonight. And I know I didn't get to some of the questions that were emailed me. But hey, next time. Off to bring my son to college, back for his sophomore year of college tomorrow morning. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Very proud of my son. And I would love it if I could hear his footsteps upstairs 12 months of the year. That's my day tomorrow. I'll be filming more videos for the Chord-Melody book. I hope to give you guys a good report. Scott says it's an FMT, a flame maple top, HH. So it's got 2 humbuckers. So it's a Fender Telecaster, but with 2 humbuckers. Sweet. With a flame maple top. Scott, that sounds gorgeous. Very, very cool. All right, you guys. Say a few good nights. Good night, Scott, Randy, Thunder Ace. Thank you for being here. Good night, Joseph, Deborah, Willie, Charlie, A to Z, me, Rock Lobster. Thanks for being here. Randy, if I repeat your names, Willie, thank you. I know some. Indigo One says, you are the Bob Ross of guitar lessons. Love it. I've been subscribed for a decade. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're very welcome. My goal is to is to become the Neil deGrasse Tyson. I want to be the Neil deGrasse Tyson of guitar. Nothing wrong with Bob Ross. I'm going for Neil deGrasse Tyson. Since Neil deGrasse Tyson is such a great guy and so interesting, we all learn so much. That's what I'm shooting for. But thank you so much for your kind words. All right, you guys. Hey, if you're so inclined, head over to my website. Get yourself something for free. Okay? www.song-bike.com. Hundreds and hundreds of people, I'm not even joking, have got this free book. And there's a video on YouTube that shows you everything. So pick yourself up. The SongBike Blues Guide. It's short, sweet, awesome. I love it. And there's a video for every page. It's all in tab. While you're at song-bike.com, you can consider getting some other stuff while you're there, including becoming a member of the website. Don't be shy. Lots of cool videos there. What else? I want to thank you guys for the super chats tonight. I appreciate it. And I can't wait for next week. Anything going on next week? No, but remember in 2 weeks, is it September 7th? Golden Globe winner and Academy Award nominee, Laura Linney, will be in town across the street at the local theater getting an award. What are the chances that she will want to come and play the guitar with us? 0. But hey, Laura Linney's in town. She scares me a little bit, man. But I wouldn't let that stop us from rocking out. If she has her guitar, I mean, if she needs to borrow one, I'd let her borrow one, I guess. Anyway, so that'll be in a couple weeks. Laura Linney will be in town. She will not be on this live stream, or will she? We'll all find out together. If any of you know her, please invite her, man. We've never had a Golden Globe winner on our live stream. Never. She would be the first. My weekend begins now. Thank you guys for being here. I will see you next Saturday. And have a great week. Hope you guys have a chance to play the guitar. Hope you have a chance to practice some of the stuff we talked about. All right, you guys. I'm going to say goodnight and take care. Have a great week. I'll see you next time.